Hello and welcome back. So this is going to be our second project in the series. It's called Company Brochure Maker. As from the name, probably you can guess, it's some kind of app that generates a brochure. So it's in concept wise very similar to what stock analyst does, but slightly more involved. It's not complicated, but slightly more involved. So we're taking a notch up. So let me just quickly show it to you how it looks like, and then we can discuss. So this is the interface which should look very familiar, and the first field is the name of the company. So let me put LangChain. It can be any company, and here you put the relevant URL. It should be fully qualified URL, and then click the generate brochure button, and let me just show you what's doing here. What it's doing is, as you can see from the logs, it's launching browser. From here you can see one after the other. I will explain what this is. So basically it's trying to, as you can see, scrape the pages. So it goes to index page, then it finds the relevant URLs, and then it's going to each of these URLs and it's scraping data. So basically this is automatic data collection, you can say. So it's going to take some time. Then let it finish and then I'll come back. Okay, so this is all finished. Yeah. All right. So let me take you to a quick app design, like what's doing, and then I'll come back here and explain like what's displayed here. So okay, so in a nutshell, this is how high level conceptually this whole thing is working. So obviously we have a Gradio front end where we are entering our URL here, which goes input to our backend logic. The first thing it does is it scrapes the index page at this URL. Okay, so from this index page, as we know that on home page or landing pages of any website, you have a lot of menus, links. There's a link related with products, their contacts, policies. There's a lot of things, pricing, etc. Right? So from the home page, it scrapes the data, and from there it collects all the links. Now this link list can include a lot of irrelevant links like privacy, security, licenses, legal. So on those we are not interested generally for brochure making. Okay, so what it does is it takes the list, it passes to LLM and asks the LLM through a prompt that filter this list and keep only the relevant one. Now this part we can code ourselves and try to figure out which list is relevant or not. But in that case, we have to write a lot of code and a lot of logic has to be built in to find out, filter out which list is relevant for a brochure for customers, suppliers, and employees, right? But best part is LLMs are equipped with a lot of knowledge which has been gathered via their training. So instead of we doing this heavy lifting, it's being passed to LLM, right? So once this list is passed to LLM, it filters all the relevant links and then it gives the response, and this response contains only the filtered list, right, which is relevant. Now we again take this list and start scraping each of them just like we did for the home page, and we collect the data from here. The data is nothing being the text contained in the HTML tags. That's what the data is. Okay, so for each page we can collect the data and then we combine pages. So it's nothing but string, basically combining the two string, joining the strings basically in Python. And also we take the index page data and combine. So here at step 4 we have everything for the website in terms of text available under its HTML. Now this whole text is being passed to LLM and we give a prompt. Basically this prompt says that create a brochure based on this data. This is our target audience and how you should format it and everything. So we'll see what the prompt looks like, but in general that's what it's doing. And it goes to LLM, then LLM does its thing and creates the brochure and sends the response. and here we are asking for markdown formatted. So this is markdown response we get, and this markdown is passed to Gradio markdown component and displayed here. Okay, so this is the whole flow. Now the difference between the previous the stock analyst app and this one is, as you might have seen, is in LLM we are using LLM twice. In a stock analyst we simply passed our input to LLM and got the output and displayed. So just one simple flow. In this case, apart from scraping the data and preparing the data, we are getting LLM to respond us twice. We are asking two questions. We are basically assigning two tasks to LLM. Okay, and this is a step towards the agentic applications. This is not agentic application by any means, but this is how agentic application look like, or kind of one step closer to that, really. So what happens is there are n number of tasks. You divide a problem into n number of tasks, and these tasks can be carried out by LLM, and then it responds back. We do something, then we pass it the data we produce, or you pass it another task. LLM does its things, and then we take it back. So this to and fro kind of loop goes on until we get our desired results. That's how the agentic application works. So this is kind of trying to do same thing in a very naive way. So two calls to LLM, two tasks, and we get our results. Okay, so now let's go back to our application. Now here, so if you look at the log, what it does, exactly same thing what we saw in the diagram, right? So initially we supplied this langchain.com URL, and it launches a browser because we have to scrape the data, right? So what really happens, you might have seen initially when we started running it, there were a lot of browser windows were popping up, right? And this is one way to do it. This is a simplest way, because it's possible to try to scrape a website without creating a browser window. But in that case, sometimes websites reject these browser requests, which is generally called headless browsers, right? So to make it simple for this application, I've just left it that for every link it kind of opens up a browser, so that website thinks that somebody from other side is not scraping via code, but actually it's opening the browser and browsing the page. That's the whole point. So it starts a browser window, and then it gets the HTML text, parses the text. Okay, and then from there we are only interested in the links for now. So this is the filtered list which we received from LLM. So actually from HTML parsing we get a much bigger list, and it is passed to LLM. Then LLM filters and passes this list to us. Once we have this list, we go through each of these pages one by one and then start scraping. That means reading HTML, gathering the text data one by one, and at the end of it we combine everything and pass it to LLM via a prompt, and it generates the brochure for us. So this is the same thing which I showed you in the diagram. So in the application, this is how it looks like, right? So based on the data we gathered, obviously for LangChain you can see that it has correctly captured all the products, key features, success stories. So kind of decent brochure. And interface, you have seen same interface or similar one in the last app. So kind of here we give input, we generate, and here is the output in HTML format. You copy from here and you can download this brochure here. Okay, so okay, this warning is because I'm using a package which is on trial, so that's why it is giving me. So that's the whole gist of the application. This is how it looks, and we know that how it works. So next we are going to look at, and I'm going to walk through the code in detail, like how we can build this application. So let's jump in. Let's start. So I've created a folder for the project brochure maker, and you know the drill. So first we do py versions actually. So I've already set to 3.13.2, and then the next step is to create the virtual LAN, which I have already created. .when. So let me activate it. So clear source.when script activate. Okay, so this is activated, and next step is obviously is to install all the software. So the pip install, and these are the software which most of it we have already seen: LangChain, OpenAI, MetaLlama, Gradio. Now these two bits are new, a node driver and BS4. So node driver is for all data scraping from the websites, and BS4 is also is to parse the HTML file. Spire I'm going to use for markdown to PDF conversion, and these you have seen. Rich is just a package that provides a nice print function that prints nicely in the terminal. So these are the ones we are going to install. So I've already installed, so it went very quickly, right? So now let's jump to clear this, jump to VS Code. So this is the skeleton project. So you can see we have all our familiar backend, front end, data, and shared empty directories when is here. And then obviously we have .env, where you are going to keep all your API keys. And example where I show you like what API key for which LLM we are using. Gitignore, which contains all the boilerplate listing for files to be ignored. So let's start from here. So first let's start the very familiar one, which is, let me go here and create a file called lc.py. Now lc.py is obviously you have seen this. So here we are going to keep LangChain code. And so these are reusable LangChain functions which we are going to keep. And you have seen this connect already. So based on the LLM name, it returns a particular LangChain object for that LLM. Another function is a convenience function to create a prompt template. So given the prompt, it converts into chat prompt template. That's it. So nothing fancy going on. This we have already done previously. Now next is let's start with the easier bit. So in shared, I'm going to create utils.py. Now this is the file we are using it store generic functions, which is not related with the project directly. Oh, not this one. Okay. Okay, this. So here we have got only one function which converts markdown file and save as PDF file. So previous project I use MD to PDF using this code, but this was giving me some issue later on. So I'm going to use a different package called Spire. And I don't think this is free, but for the demo is fine. We are going to use it, and there's a lot of options available on the web. You can just Google it, you'll find how to convert markdown to PDF and save it. So this is just a boilerplate code picked up from website of this package, and just here. So basically I'm going to pass a markdown, and it's going to convert and write into the PDF format. That's it. So that's util, save it. LC we have seen. The next one is something new, which is, and I'm going to create a file called scraper.py. Now this is the file which is going to scrape the data from website pages. All right. So in this the file, this is get page is the lowest level function, right? So what it does is it receives a URL, it receives a boolean, okay, and then it executes a function. So this code, this particular code has been picked up from a package which we are using for scraping the website, is called node driver. So this is a kind of a browser itself, runs from Python code, goes to website and gives us the access to the page content, and then we can pass it and extract text from here. Okay, so this code has been picked up from there, and you can see it's executing this underscore scrape function, which is here, right? Now link required boolean is, as you saw, that the link which we are collecting is only from the landing page, which is the home page of the company. Now subsequent pages may also have the links, but we are not generally interested in that. So first time when we call this get page, then we call with link required true, so it gathers the link as well. And the subsequently when we are visiting the links and calling get page again and again to extract the text from them, we'll be sending link required to false, because we do not need link for them. All right, so this function execute this scrape. Now what scrape is doing, nothing but it's starting a browser, which is UC browser, which is no driver, right? And then using browser, it's visiting the URL using a function called get, and that gives access to the page object, right? And then I'm pausing for a few seconds, because page sometimes, depending upon your speed, it might take some time to load. So I'm just taking a break for 3 seconds, and then I'm grabbing the content from the page into this home page variable. So once I have the access to the page, I'm using Beautiful Soup to convert this page into soup object. So Beautiful Soup makes it very easy to pass the HTML code or file or content into a simple object through which you can extract whatever bits and pieces you want. So in this case, we are only interested in text. So from soup object, for that page, we are extracting the text. And since if link required is true, then we are getting all the URLs. And this is going to be true, as we discussed, only for the home page. And then we are returning these two. Okay. So this is get page, and there is another function which uses this get page in a loop to extract content from the links we gathered. So first time we call it only once, then we get the links, then we call all pages, and it goes through this loop and grab all the content from the pages. Okay, and after grabbing the content, it just join them like this. So all the link text is joined into one single string called all text, right? And here I'm limiting it to 10 links. When I ran the demo, I limited it to 10 links because it takes a long and lot of browser window pop-up that happens. So I limited for 10 for the demo purpose, but for now I'm going to limit only to 2 just to see. Okay. Now a couple of things like this no driver thing. If you want to know more about it, then you can go to just search no driver in Google, and you go to no driver documentation, and the code which I am using is this one from the quick start guide. This is what I'm doing. Okay, and then we are calling this function. So in our case, this is scrape function, and it is being called from get page. So if you want, you can read more about this no driver and why I'm using it. If you have worked before with a package called request, very popular request package from Python, through which also you can grab the content of web page. But if you try it using request, there's a lot of websites they are going to reject it. They restrict the scraping from a code directly. So in this case, what trick is, no driver opens a browser window. The other side, the web server thinks that somebody is sitting there and browsing a website through browser, so it doesn't block. That's the reason why I'm using this no driver. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so this alt text, and basically this whatever I said, what we are doing is this thing. Okay, so we got the links, we scrape each link, we got the text from using Beautiful Soup, and then we are combining it. So we have reached till this stage right now. So currently we are just viewing the functions. We have not touched this, how the whole flow works. That we'll get into in a bit. But this is what the functions which are right now we are discussing. Okay. So this is scraper. This is done. Now next important function, which where all the glue logic, the logic for the application will go. So I generally like it to call a process. So this guy is going to contain all the logic for the application. Right. So this it imports everything, scraper and utils, which we have discussed. LC, right? The first thing which I want to discuss is this function. So this is the highest level function, generate brochure. So this function will be called from our Gradio UI. So when you click the generate button, this is the function invoked. And since we already take an input as company name and URL, this function will be passed these two things. And then from here, this function actually invoke another function called get company data, which returns the text, complete text, which is this. So index page data plus all pages data, which we just discussed using scrap, and everything is combined. So output of our function, right, is this combined data for all pages. So complete thing. This, okay. And then it goes into next step, so which we are going to discuss. So let's quickly see what this get company data does. So we are passing again same thing, company name and URL to this guy, and this is the get company data. Now here let's ignore this part where I'm checking for a file for now. I'll come back to it. Now this is where the logic starts. So you see scraper get page. So we are getting home page and we are saying link required is true. So we are going to get the home page text and the URL list on that page. Okay. And then next thing, we are preparing now our prompt template using the company name, URL and URL list. So what exactly we are doing? So now we are preparing this thing. So we have got all the text, we have got the links. Sorry, no. Yeah, we are preparing, sorry, not this. We are preparing for number 2. Okay, so we have got the links. So now we are sending these links to LLM and asking it to just give us the filtered link which is relevant. So this flow. Okay. So template, prompt template. Okay. Invoke, and we are passing company name, URL and URL list. So let's look at the prompt. So for that, let me here create a file called prompts. So this is the prompt. So we are passing 3 variables. See, home page URL, company name and the URL. So what you are saying, from the home page of the company name this, you have been given a list of URLs that we have gathered from the home page. Reason through these lists and keep only those URLs that would be relevant for creating company's brochure for prospective customer, suppliers and employees. So we are giving the data as well as the full context to LLM. So it understand what we are looking. We are looking for a brochure for this. So this information is going to use to filter out the links. And then also I'm saying ignore the links related with social media, site navigation, copyright terms, legal and privacy. Okay. Do not include the homepage URL in the list. Ensure all URLs are absolute in the output. So we do not want the relative ones. Okay, so and these prompts are generally developed step by step. Like for example, this thing I added later on, because the first time when I ran, it started to include the homepage URL as well in the list. So I asked it to remove it because homepage anyway we have scraped through, right? So this is the first prompt for this prompt to filter the list. So we are using LLM to filter the list. Okay, so let's go back to the process, and then we are using this prompt, we are invoking the LLM. Now you see, in this case we are not directly invoking the LLM. There's something called LLM structured output. So what this is, so if you look at the top of this file, we have used lc.connect function to connect to LLM, and then using this LLM we have used a LangChain function called with structured output, and we have passed something called schema, and then we got an instance of LLM with structured output. Why it is like that? Because generally LLMs are responses are not deterministic. That means every time it's quite possible that they are going to give you a different format response, or sometimes it is not very suitable for us to consume. In term, if you have downstream system or you're sending to some API, every time you want a structured response in a certain format. So if you're just going to consume the text from LLM straight away, like for example, instead of a structure output, if I invoke this guy directly, then chances are sometimes it might not give me the structured output even though I have specified in the prompt. So for that, solution is to provide it a schema that this is what I want in your output. Okay, so this is the function with the structured output. This is a LangChain defined function, and expect a schema. So what is this schema is? So let's create a schema by, and this schema is nothing but a class. So it's a Pydantic class. Pydantic is a library, a very popular library used in Python to for data validation, to define the structure to your data model. So it's very popular. So in this case we are using very basic base model and field, and what exactly we are doing is we are creating a class and we are defining the field and their types, and also we are giving the description, because these descriptions are very helpful. So when LangChain is sending query to our LLM, it also sends this. So LLM knows like which field is what, and that's how it prepares data in this format. So using this method, it guarantees that we are going to get response in this format. Okay, so let's go back. Where were we? Yeah, structured output. We send a prompt and asked it to filter our links. It sends a response, and from response I am blindly picking up this thing because I know that LLM is going to return me a class structure. Basically it's a JSON object with these three fields, and I'm picking the relevant URLs. This is the filtered list. So once I have the relevant URLs, what I'm going to do, I'm calling scraper and get all pages. So this is the function where it goes through in a loop, link by link, and scrapes the data, and ultimately it returns me text from all the linked pages. All right, so this part is this. Okay, and we have done this just before. Now we are going to do this, combining the home page and the link data together to make a one big blob of text. So that's happening here. I'm just adding it. So all text, I'm giving a company name, new line, then home page which I have scraped, and the link text which we have scraped just now, all the links. So this text contains all the information that LLM will need to prepare our brochure. Now, here is the additional code that I have added to save this text into a file. Okay, this is simple code for writing this to a file. Okay, and file name I have defined at the top. Data text file is this, so it goes in data directory here, and with the name this. Why I'm doing this? Because just to because this scraping business, it takes time sometimes. Okay, depending upon the site speed and your internet speed, every time it becomes, when you are actually building it, becomes very cumbersome to do it again and again and again. So if I have done it once, right, then I'm saving this data. Okay, and it's only if the save data is true. So I think the default is default is true. Yeah, so it's going to save this data in a file in data. So how this helps is, so next time when I'm running, so let's say first time I ran, it went through the whole process, grabbed all the pages text and is saved in a file. Then I made some changes to my, let's say, UI or logic, and then I want to run it again. So it, in order to just save us a time, I am checking here if this file, text file, this one, if it exists, then directly read data from there. So all text will be set as the previously extracted text. So it's not going to do all this, scraping and capture, right? So it helps in terms when you are building it. So, but when you're deploying it and you want data to be extracted always from the site, then you need to make it to false. So it's not going to look for this file. Okay, so that's the whole purpose. Okay, so ultimately our company get company data returns all text. Okay, which comes here. So generate brochure, here it has everything. It has this complete. Now we'll be moving to this part. Okay, so we have the text which we need to send to LLM. All right, so text ready. Then we start the brochure generation again. This is the second task for the LLM, as we discussed when we talked about design, right? So again, we have to prepare a prompt template. Okay, using a different prompt, because this time we are going to ask LLM to prepare a brochure, right? In previous occasion we asked to filter the links. So this is a different prompt. So this is the system prompt and this is a user prompt for brochure. Now here I'm specifying very clearly what I'm expecting LLM to do. So I'm telling you're expert in creating company brochure targeted towards prospective customer, suppliers and employees for a company name this, and you have been provided a text corpus gathered from various pages of the website. Generate a crisp, professional but catchy market company brochure to market company products, services and expertise. Okay, so I have defined the context very clearly what I'm looking for, and then I'm telling how it should produce the output. So if you remember from I think video number 2 in the series, we discussed about prompting technique and what are the important component of a good prompt, right? So clear cut expectation, that is action, then context, and then you have to provide how you're expecting output to be produced. So you will produce a markdown formatted outputs using bullets, emojis, tables where appropriate. And I'm saying that reasonably be verbose. Do not annotate the beginning of the output text indicating that's my, this I have added later on when I was building it, because every time, not every time, sometimes what it does is after creating the whole output, it puts a triple quotes at the beginning. All right, so but when we consume it, when you send it to Gradio, then it doesn't display properly. That's the reason I have said do not annotate at the beginning of output text. And user prompt, so here is the text and the text which we have gathered, so 2 variables. All right, and that's what we are doing. system prompt, and then user prompt using our make prompt template function. So we get a template, and then we format the prompt using company name. And now this thing we could have done using chains as well. I could have chained this LLM invoke and prompt, so that method will also work. But here I have done this separately. What I have done is I am again limiting the number of characters I'm sending to LLM. Again, this is because of the cost reasons. Because 20,000 characters, generally it would mean around 3,000 words, 3,000 to 3,500 words, which is 30 pages. Now, nowadays LLM's context window is much bigger than this, so they do not have problem consuming this. So 3,000 words means maybe 4,500 tokens. So it's a pretty small, but because I'm not using the LLM model, I'm going to use the OpenAI Azure hosted model, so it's going to cost me. That's why I'm limiting it. So 20,000 30 pages, I think for the demo purposes, is more than enough for LLM to know what we are looking for, and that's the reason why I'm doing. In production, probably we don't want to do this. We want to send the whole thing. Okay, and then we call the LLM. So this we reached here. Okay, so using prompt, very clearly pass the data. Now it is with LLM. It's going to process. It's going to send us the response. So here response. Okay, and then what I'm doing additionally, I'm writing this file. So I'm writing this markdown file as well, saving it just to have a look like what kind of if we want to analyze later what kind of output LLM has produced, right? And then using this markdown, I'm calling this function from the utils, which just we saw, using a Spire, and it saves into a PDF format, and these constant in the caps, these are defined at the top. These are nothing but the file paths. Okay, here this we have seen the text data file, and these two are MD and the PDF file. They are going to be stored in data. All right, so this is how the code works, right? I think it should be pretty clear like what we want to do, and this is our trigger function. So generate button is going to trigger this. So next portion which is left is the UI, Gradio UI, but before we get into walking through the UI code, what I want to do is I want to run through this whole thing using debugger and show you like how it is running and what's producing in between, right? And after that, once we understand that, okay, this is how it's working and this is the output we are getting finally, then UI just we have to just plug in, right? UI. So again, the philosophy is and should be, I think a good software design always dictates that your user interface and your logic should be totally decoupled, and user interface should be as dumb as possible. There should not be any business logic. So once our business logic is ready, I should be able to run it separately without any UI. And once it runs okay, I'll just plug. In this case, I'm plugging a Gradio UI. But if you're using a different tool, let's say Streamlit or something, right? Streamlit, or you're writing in JavaScript, React based something. So, so in case of JavaScript, this needs to be exposed as a API. That's a bit different thing. But if you're using any Python based UI library like Reflex, Streamlit, then you can simply replace Gradio with the Streamlit and just call this function. That's it. Okay, that's the loose coupling. So next, let's walk through using a debugger and see that how it works. Okay, so let's execute this step by step. So what I've done is I've created a file. First, let's look at this one. I've created a stub file for UI where eventually we are going to write our Gradio code. But for now, what I have done is I have imported the generate brochure function, which is the main function, which is going to trigger the whole processing. And I've created just a stub function called launch. Within that, a hard-coded company name, and these are the inputs that Gradio UI will take. So I've hard coded company name homepage, and I'm just executing this function, okay, from here. And then in the root, I have created a app.py. So this is how a final application looks like, right? So it imports UI, and then from UI it imports the Gradio blocks demo and launches, right? Ultimately, since we do not have, so I've created this stub here. I'm calling it here. Now we are going to start debugger and step through and see what it's doing, where it's going, and what intermediate data it's collecting from where. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here, and I'm going to start this debugger. So from this drop down, what you can do is Python debugger, debug Python file, and start. It takes few seconds to launch. Actually, debugging is a good technique if you want to understand the flow of any program, any software, any application. And in between, you can check like what variables, how it's changing. It's a very powerful technique. So I'm here and I'm going to step into this function, right? And then execute, and then step into. So now I'm in generate brochure function. Okay, so I am going to get inside this function. So I'm going to step into. So now I am in get data. Okay, let's go through. There is no file, so it will come here straight away. And then scraper. So I'm not going to get inside this function. I'm just going to execute it straight away. Let's see what it does. So this is it launches the browser, and it has grabbed the LangChain homepage. Yeah. So this is happening via the no driver package. So we are here now, and let's move forward. And then yeah, so it has already grabbed the required data. So you can see this actually. So if I take my cursor here, so this is the data it has grabbed from the page. That's one. And secondly, it has also grabbed the URLs. You can see it has gathered how many 99 URLs it has gathered from just from the home page. And then we are going to ask LLM to filter it. All right, so we are here already. Let's execute. So this is our prompt. Okay, and now we are going to ask LLM. So I'm just going to execute it. Now it's in pause mode. That means going to LLM and getting response. Now it's back already. And now you can see that so response. Just look at this. Let's copy it somewhere and paste it and see. Okay, so these are the relevant URLs. So you remember this? This is all the schema which we have defined, right? In the schema file. So we asked model to give us the data in this format strictly, and that's what it has done. It has basically given a JSON object with this format, and these are the relevant URL which LLM has figured out. These are the one which is relevant for us. Okay, so what I've done, did I overwrote? No. Okay, so this out. Okay, let's go back. And now it is going through the links. So first it went to LangGraph, then LangSmith. Okay, and it's going to do only twice because I'm not taking all the links, so I have reduced it, cut it down to only 2, so it went only twice, right? And then do this. Come on. Okay, so now this is all text. This is the complete thing here. Okay, so you can see company name, it has included. We actually we should do one more step before sending it to LLM. You can see there is a lot of new line characters and unnecessary codes are there. So there is a way to clean this up. Probably we can write a nifty small function. Maybe in the next project we'll include this in utils, which is going to clean it up. So remove all this unnecessary this /n. So for now, let's move forward. So now it is going in save data, which is by default true. So it is going to write to a file. Okay, and then it's going to return this all data. So now we are done. So you can see, you can go here and in data, you can check. So this is the actual data gathering that our scraper has done. All right. Okay, let's go forward. So we have got all the text. Let's move forward. So now we are going to prepare the brochure. So first we prepare the prompt. Let's invoke it. All right. So this is the prompt template. And now here we are going to, this is our prompt. Okay, so this is the prompt we are passing, and this is the prompt we have prepared with all the data inside it. And let's invoke the LLM. Again, it's waiting. Listen, pause, that means waiting. And somehow it clears this variable. I don't know why in VS Code, but it will come back. Few more seconds. Okay, so back. Now you see this response variable contains something called AI message. All right. So this already we have discussed in LangChain, right? AI message is the response that we are getting from AI from the model, and it has a property called content which holds everything. So actually we can copy it. Let me just copy it. I will go in UI, just show you. So this is what the model has returned. Okay, AI message, and we are interested in content part. It has metadata as well. There's a lot of metadata, how many tokens and what you have done, which model you are using, everything. But this is our result of our model response. This is what we are interested in. And now it has everything and it's going to save it. So first we are saving the MD file, which is markdown. Save markdown file, and then save PDF file. Okay, done. And then finally response.content is being returned from this function. Okay, and this is where the Gradio component is going to grab this text and going to display in markdown component. All right, so if you look at the data folder, now we saw that it has this file, which is data, and then it has this PDF, okay, and it has a markdown as well. So markdown, you can also in VS Code, you could, if you just right click, if it is markdown file and open preview, then it shows you, it will show you how it looks actually. So yeah, so this is the whole flow without hooking up UI. So next what we are going to do quickly, because we are not going to spend too much time on Gradio UI. It is similar UI, so it is very same code. So very quickly we'll breeze through and we'll plug it in. And the last part after the UI will be, we are going to upload it or first we are going to git commit and then upload to GitHub. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's quickly look at the Gradio part. So this is our UI. Okay, this was a stub code. Now I'm going to replace this with our actual Gradio UI code. At the end of it, I'm going to remove this. Already done. All right. So it starts from here. Okay, so this is where the blocks, we define the blocks. Now in this case, what I have done is I have defined the component before the block. Now this is much more convenient compared to what we did last time, where we defined the component inside the block. Thing is, when you define component inside the block, which is the main container, the order matters. So in the order in which you define those components, they'll be rendered on the screen. But if you define them outside of the blocks, then you can create them in any order you like. So let's say one component refers to next one, right? So you can define that first, and then next can be defined here. And then here, what I can do is I can change the order. That's the flexibility it gives. So that's what I have done. So these are the component, you know, there is a markdown. There are two text boxes on the left side, and there are buttons, right? Submit button, download, and clear button on the sidebar. And here I'm just rendering in the order in which I want these to be rendered. So Gradio provides a render function. So if you define component outside the block, and if you want to render inside the block, then you have to call component variable dot render. Okay, so in this order it will be rendered on the page. And then there are two event handlers. One is when you click the submit button, which is generate report, and next is the clear and listeners. So this we have seen in the stock analysis slides. It calls generate brochure listener function, and it calls the clear output, passing input and taking the output which is required. And here are the listeners. So clear, let's look at the clear first. So clear, it takes it basically creates markdown and download button, and it hides download button, and markdown, it just clears it. Okay, and we just return it, and that will be assigned on the page, and this will be hidden and this will be blank. Now in this case, generate brochure, this is the function we just stepped through. Okay, it calls simply gets the markdown data here, and simply it displays, it creates a markdown component, puts the data in there, and then it creates a download button which is now visible, and it attaches the file which has been created here. So this, in a nutshell, this is what's happening. It's not very complicated, right? So this is our Gradio code UI. So in the app.py, instead of this stub UI launch, we can do this. Let me remove this. Okay, so this is our app, and I think hopefully it should work. So let's go back to our terminal and let's try to execute it. Python. Let's see. So it's using, I'm using Azure. Yeah, you can try using LLama as well, but because I found that LLama sometimes doesn't give a very good result, especially in the filtering section of the links, because it involves a lot of reasoning. So small models, it's not very good. It doesn't give, basically it's not consistent. Then I go here. Let's open this URL. Yeah, this is happening because I have not used the images. So when I'm creating it, I have used the images, but here it's not. So let's just fix that quickly. Or maybe before committing, I'll just fix it and then I'll show you later when we move into the commit section. Yeah, so there are images that I need to copy in the front end. So here, LangChain and https://www.langchain.com. I think it's right. Yeah, generate. Yeah, it took some time. Now, if you noticed, it did not, there was no browser window that popped up. That's because during the debug session, right, we have created this data file. It was left there. And so as part of our code, we are checking if it exists, then use this data. And that's what it's doing, right? If I delete and rerun it, then it's going to open the browser window, scrape the data, and do the whole thing from the beginning. All right, so let's quickly put this in GitHub. So I am already in my brochure folder, and if we check, there is no .git file here. So it's not in source control. So let's just quickly do that. Git init. All right, so if we check, so now we have this git. And then let's add everything, right? So git, let me clear this. Git add dot. Okay, so if you check git not git. All right, so these are the files staged for commit, and let's quickly commit it. Git commit -m, let's say initial commit, and there we go. So we are in main branch and everything is committed. If I do git status now, it says everything is, so everything is in source control now. Let's quickly push it to GitHub. So I'm going to create a new repo. Let's call it brochure maker. So this will be LLM based company brochure maker. Okay. So public, I don't want git ignore, that's it. Okay, so we have done all this. Now we just copy this one. Okay. Let's go back, paste, done, and let's git push -u origin main. So this will put in GitHub. Okay, so that's done. Let's refresh, and there you go. So this is our new project. Everything in is GitHub, and I have already prepared a README file. A link of the repo will be in the description, so you can check that out. So with complete source code, and I put the design part and the screenshot and how to install, everything is here. So this conclude our second project with generative AI, and in the next video we are going to do another one. Then that will be kind of, we'll take it a notch above compared to this project. and it won't be complicated. There will be more functionality we will be using, and a more kind of we are going to make use of LLM much more. Basically it will be a chat application. So in these applications, the first two applications which we have built, we are just basically giving some input and calling LLM and showing the output, right? So the next application will be a real chat application with which you can talk to LLM. It will respond back, and then you respond back. It will have audio generation, so text to audio conversion. It will have text to image conversion. It will have a full chat bot running. So that is for the next video. Till then, take care. I'll see you there. Bye.